Greetings, Algo Artisans! Everything I need to know about crypto I learned from Gandhi. Well, not really, but Gandhi's persistence is a good lesson nonetheless. Today's video is Vanguard Bans Bitcoin, Ethereum to the Moon 2024. And before we get into it, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're on X, please follow and like. It helps us get more content out to you. All right, let's get into it. So we have an article here in Fortune, and it says that Vanguard unfazed by boycott calls after it refuses to offer Bitcoin ETFs. Quote unquote, they won't lose a single 401k plan over it. Okay, well, they definitely feel like they are the honey badger of asset managers.
Honey badger don't care. Honey badger don't give a shit.
And they're pretty big, and they have a pretty big history, and they have a history of being conservative. Going back to 2017, right here in the article, it says legendary investor Jack Bogle famously warned people to avoid Bitcoin like the plague. More than 6 years later, Vanguard Group Inc. is still stoking the crypto world's ire by sticking to the conservative investing approach of its late founder. And it goes on to talk about how a lot of your crypto types, your crypto lovers, are talking about boycotting Vanguard, and that is trending on X. Here's the thing about Vanguard. They're massive, and a lot of companies who have relationships with Vanguard, I imagine, are not going to change those relationships over this kind of a small crowd wanting to boycott Vanguard. Vanguard gets their money from very large companies whose assets flow into it through 401k plans. So I'm not sure that, Google or whoever, these massive companies, are going to change who they do business with based on something like that. And also, there are a fair amount of people who don't know or don't care about Bitcoin. At least they don't care about it. I think everybody knows about it by now. We're going to take a look at how many people that might be, and we're going to see if that group of people is large enough to make such a difference. But here's what I think is going to happen personally. I'm going to go ahead before we get into any of it too terribly deeply. I'm just going to guess that they're eventually going to jump in. If you're conservative as an investor, what'll happen is you're going to see that Bitcoin is, and this is assuming that Bitcoin does well in the future, you're going to see that you missed out on the bus, and they may look for a good entry after this cycle if it's not too late by then. One of the problems with Bitcoin is volatility, and there have been many experts after the ETF saying that this ETF will cause a decrease in volatility in Bitcoin. You'll still get massive returns, although those returns will probably diminish as Bitcoin matures, and the last Bitcoin is minted in the 2040s. I think that's what I heard. Just the same, you're going to have a lot of more conservative groups not add Bitcoin to their portfolio. And sure, what if something happens with Bitcoin? What if it gets banned? What if this? What if that? If you have too heavy of a position, I should say, in Bitcoin, that could cause major problems for people whose retirements are sitting in your fund. So I get it. I'm not really going to be upset with Vanguard for doing that. There's lots of places to invest that, you can make money. I do think personally Bitcoin is a long-term success. I think actually that if people don't invest in Bitcoin or other hard assets such as gold and silver and things like that, I do think that the future is actually rather uncertain for people like that. But that's because of my own view. I could be totally wrong. So, and again, nothing that we say here is investment advice, so please do your own research. Let's move a little bit deeper into this article, and then we will push on. It says, the saga speaks to Vanguard's deeply entrenched investing philosophy, one that harkens back to Bogle himself. The Valley Forge, Pennsylvania-based firm was funded by the money management icon in 75 on a bedrock of investing in stocks and bonds, assets that generate cash flow, dividends, and interest payments while eschewing commodities, which kind of fits, right? Now, I'm saying it kind of fits. This is not the article. Now I am talking. And Bitcoin is looked at sort of as a commodity. It's a little harder to find than that. It might be better defined as a currency, but it is likened to gold, and gold is treated as a commodity in the markets, although it may also philosophically not belong there either. Let's move forward because there's a little bit of irony here. And even as billions roll into the newly launched spot Bitcoin ETFs, Vanguard has no plans to offer any crypto-related products, a spokesman said. At the same time, I think they own a bunch of MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy basically is Bitcoin. Let's see if I can find it here. I might have to look that up on a different site here, but if I'm not mistaken, Vanguard does own a bunch of MicroStrategy. So they have Bitcoin exposure, but for some reason, gathering Bitcoin exposure through Bitcoin itself or an ETF is not something they're comfortable with, but buying a bunch of MicroStrategy is. I'll see if I can find that data here in these next few slides. But let's look at this famous quote that may or may not have been said by Mahatma Gandhi. This was quoted, I think Donald Trump tweeted it, and then a bunch of people looked it up and found out Gandhi might not have ever said this, but it says, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. Well, okay, it sounds great, and it may be true. Whether or not Gandhi said it, I'm sure lots of people say things that never actually get attributed to them, or people say things that they really did say, but nobody writes it down, and people talk about it, and who knows. Whatever, it's a good quote. Here's another article. I think this is where we might get the MicroStrategy data. And this is on crypto.news, and it talks more about the Vanguard, other TradFi giants boycott spot Bitcoin. Now, personally, I don't think that a small group of people on Twitter yelling boycott Vanguard is going to make a big difference in Vanguard. I think we're still in that scenario where Vanguard's just going to have enough people from the large companies not to sink. But it does say here that Vanguard, the second largest asset manager after BlackRock, reportedly said spot Bitcoin ETFs do not align with company's investment philosophy. No news there. In addition to not enabling trading for the newly approved products, Vanguard disabled the buying of Grayscale's GBTC shares on its platform, according to several users on X. And this is a tweet from Tony Spencer. I don't know if they call these tweets anymore. It's X. What do they call it on X? I think it's just a comment or a post on X. Tony Spencer says, wow, it's worse than I thought. I called and the answer, well, we just had an internet blip. Oh, okay. Looks like I went straight to the guy's Twitter post here. Wow, it's worse than I thought. I called and the answer received was, currently we aren't allowing those to be purchased as it doesn't fit Vanguard's investment philosophy. Okay, but let me buy GBTC in the past is what you did. And they said, yes, I believe you can only sell that now. So clearly that is a change in what's been going on, right? You were able to buy GBTC before, now you can only sell it. Okay, apparently I can't click on that, clicking over. And then it says here, New Wave Crypto confirms, I'm still holding my GBTC from 3+ years ago and I can only sell. I cannot add to my position or exchange my GBTC for one of the newer lower cost ETFs. But don't worry, I can still buy the paper futures ETFs like BITO, WTF. Do better, Vanguard. Well, Vanguard is doing what Vanguard thinks is right, and they are a private company, and if they do not want to invest in such products, they don't have to. The same can be said for people who want to use asset managers. They don't have to use Vanguard. They can go to BlackRock or whoever else, or you know what, quite frankly, just go buy some Bitcoin if that's what you want. The interesting thing about Bitcoin is that nobody wants to learn how to actually own it. They want to just click a button on what they're used to clicking, and that's fine. Here's the note about Vanguard. Notably is one of the largest owners of MicroStrategy shares, the Michael Saylor company, which holds over $8 billion in Bitcoin, right? So that's rather ironic here. Also, State Street is listed as a MicroStrategy share, but here it is, Vanguard, number 2, and that is below an international company, Capital Research and Management Company. So Vanguard Group is heavily into MicroStrategy, which basically is Bitcoin. So I don't know how heavily they are from their own AUM standpoint, because their valuation's at $700 million, and I think Vanguard has I want to say they're close to $1 trillion in assets. So of what they have, it's not very big of an exposure, but it's an exposure nonetheless. And it does say here on the crypto.news, furthermore, there are reports that other legacy institutions like Merrill Lynch, Citibank, UBS, Wells Fargo, and Raymond James will also boycott the SPY BTCs, the BTC ETFs. Merrill Lynch in particular plans to assess how the ETFs perform and possibly reevaluate its decision. I can almost guarantee you every single one of these, including Vanguard, will follow this. They will assess how the ETFs perform and possibly reevaluate. The other way around it is, or the other way to look at it is, does Vanguard know something that we don't? Is there going to be a problem with Bitcoin in the future? I think at this point, it's pretty well established. So let's go ahead and move on from the Bitcoin story and let's take a look at Ethereum. Oh wait, we're not going to move on just yet. I did want to take a look at how many people in the US know about, care about Bitcoin to see if boycotting Vanguard even makes a difference. First of all, most people with their 401ks are asleep at the wheel. They're not paying attention to that, so they probably don't care. There are very few people who really care. And also, I would wonder, the only people who have 401ks are, I'm guessing that group is shrinking because it's harder to get benefits like they used to be. I suppose you could have your own self-directed IRA if you wanted to do something like that, but I don't know that many people who really even have the understanding of how or why to have your own self-directed retirement account. So moving on here, cryptocurrency awareness and ownership rates have increased to record levels. 40% of American adults now own crypto. That's huge, up from 30% in 2023. This could be as many as 93 million people. So they actually own crypto, not just exposure to crypto, but own crypto. That's a big number. Among current crypto owners, around 63% hope to obtain more crypto over the next year. The rate of crypto ownership by women has surged from 18% to 29%. 21% of non-owners said the anticipated Bitcoin ETF makes them more likely to invest in cryptocurrency. This means as many as 29 million more Americans could join the market soon. The question would be is if they're going to join it through the ETF or actual crypto. 46% of Americans think Bitcoin ETF approvals in 2024 will positively impact the blockchain industry. Okay, so that's pretty optimistic. However, I'd say anybody who's a crypto fan probably owns crypto directly and isn't quite as interested in investing through the ETF. So it would be really, really hard to parse out this data to figure out whether or not some kind of a ban on or a boycott on Vanguard would make a difference to Vanguard. I mean, it would be, I'm not too worried about Vanguard. I think they'll be just fine. That's just my take on the issue, right? Anybody who's that hardcore about crypto will just use their crypto wallet. Okay, we're going to move on and talk about Ethereum. So Ethereum underperformed last year, and a lot of people are thinking that Solana was eating Ethereum's lunch, and in a way it kind of was. During last year, a lot of money was going into Ethereum to play the meme coin game, and the meme coins are super extremely gambly, speculative coins. A lot of them have zero to back them up. It's just, hey, maybe this one goes up, maybe it doesn't, and then they go up by like 100 times. It's just gambling. And Solana started opening up some of these meme coins its chain. And the way that meme coins work is that you have to buy Ethereum to get into them, right? And there's some other chains besides Ethereum that have been doing it, but nothing's really caught fire quite like Ethereum has. But here's the problem with the Ethereum chain is that you have an issue with fees, right? Ethereum can cost a lot of money to buy and sell. And when you have to go from Ethereum into your meme coin, the gas fees might prohibit such a transaction. And that's kind of good and bad. And Solana, on the other hand, is faster and cheaper than Ethereum by quite a bit. So you don't have the same lag and you don't have the same fees, and a lot of people get into meme coins that could not or otherwise did not want to do so. So in this case, though, there is an upgrade called Dencun, and it's part of the reason why I think Ethereum might do well in 2024. I put to the moon and, okay, I like to use silly language in my titles, but the fact is I think it'll do pretty well. Already it's looked rather bullish, and we're going to take a look at it on the charts. So let's take a break from the story here, and let me make sure my chart is at least ready, and we'll take a quick look at Bitcoin before we talk more about this Ethereum upgrade. So we did have a move down. A lot of people wanted to short Bitcoin, right? And I did put out there that I don't think that I'm going to short Bitcoin. Look, Bitcoin's been in a range effectively since, December? And that's early, like the beginning of December, it created this range between about 40,650 and about 44,400, right? Just keeps bouncing back and forth. Then we had the ETF, and that was a sell the news event. My most recent video is regarding that and why I thought price might go down a bit after the ETF, and that I was correct in that when everybody else thought it would go to the moon. And also a lot of people wanted to short when price broke down below this range. They thought it would continue down. However, I have my own formula as to why I would not short that, and of course price bounced back up and I was correct yet again. So basically I'm looking at this range as this was a great time to possibly go long. Now my algos are not big on the longs right now. It does seem to me that this range is kind of coming to maybe, it's getting a little longer in the tooth. What I might not, I haven't gone long. I didn't go long here, which that's what you do at the bottom of a range. I tend to go long. In this case, I did not because the algos told me it's not the best idea. I might be looking only for shorts at this time. So if price does make its way up to the top of the range, I might look to go short around that time. And if price breaks below here and actually closes on a daily candle, 2 days would be better, but 1 day to be fine. I might take a short there. And because Bitcoin moves so quickly, there's not that great of a chance that you're going to see 2 days a candle, 2 daily candles close before price actually makes its way down to the next area. So I might look to short that if a daily candle closes, or if I see a nice retracement back up and I can grab a short on the way down, right? So that's how I'm looking at trading Bitcoin right now. So let's get back to the Ethereum story, right? So the Ethereum Dencun upgrade is half the reason why I'm bullish on this. And Dencun essentially is all it does is it takes a bunch of Ethereum transactions and it puts them into a group of data called a blob, right? And then it does all the work in the blob, and then it fits all of that into Ethereum so that it can all be done as one transaction, right? So let's just make up some numbers. 10 transactions go into a blob. They all get calculated in the blob, and then they get put into the Ethereum main blockchain as one transaction, right? So maybe this article can describe it a little bit more complexly, but also more elegantly than I just did. In addition, Ethereum upcoming Dencun upgrade, which aims to improve the mainnet scalability by introducing data blobs could galvanize investor interest in the cryptocurrency, according to Coinbase. The upgrade event went live on Ethereum's Goerli testnet early this week. A blob is a temporary transaction data memory typically related to layer 2 solutions. So layer 2 solutions are basically where, like, Ethereum is a layer 1. Ethereum is its own layer, that's layer 1. And so whatever transactions happen in the Ethereum blockchain are layer 1 transactions. And then when you have a separate layer of transactions outside of Ethereum, that's a layer 2. So something like Polygon, which is, that's a layer 2, that's an Ethereum layer 2. There are numerous Ethereum layer 2s, and what they do is they handle transactions much more quickly off-chain. They sacrifice a small amount of security, and then they go ahead and put them back on-chain after the math has already been done. And in this case, Blob is pretty much like that, but it's an upgrade that is put directly into Ethereum if in fact they decide to do it. And it says here that a blob is a temporary transaction data memory typically related to layer 2 solutions that can be attached to Ethereum. Following the upgrade to the mainnet, the network will only need to confirm the correctness of the blob data attached to the block rather than verify each transaction, helping reduce congestion and network fees. Ethereum's Dencun Upgrade began initial tests on Wednesday, and in coming months is expected to implement EIP 4844, which is Ethereum Improvement Proposal, what that EIP stands for, which some ETH watchers predict could help reduce network fees by 90% or more, Coinbase noted. Okay, so it also should make it a lot faster. And it does talk about other layer 2s and whether or not, or not other layer 2s. It does talk about other Ethereum competitors and how they're just still a lot smaller than Ethereum. And Ethereum, even though it does have its gas fee issue and its scalability issue, still is the premier blockchain for creating other applications and other crypto. So if they can fix at least temporarily on the way to, let's just say that this is a bridge solution to a much bigger solution, even so, if they can fix the gas fees, that's probably going to make a massive difference in people not going away from Ethereum to other competitors such as Solana. It does say also here, lastly, Ethereum's feature of burning a portion of transaction fees paid in Ethereum has a deflationary effect on the token supply, positively affecting investors, right? So this actually is related to some prior advantages of Ethereum after the merge. I know there's the merge, there's now proof of stake instead of proof of work. There are some opinions on that we're not going to get into. I prefer proof of work because I'm old school, and I think proof of stake just sacrifices a little security, but I could be totally wrong about that. I'm not a techie. But we'll just read the last conclusion of this one, and we'll go on and look at the Ethereum chart. It says here, the strong dominance of Ethereum in terms of smart contract platforms and possibility to earn an additional source of yield imply that it should also be a core holding in a diversified crypto asset portfolio as well. We therefore think that it is quite likely for the relative performance of Ethereum to Bitcoin to reverse itself in 2024. In fact, Ethereum Bitcoin's 12-month relative performance has historically shown a strong tendency to mean revert. Yes, we did look at that chart. Actually, 1 or 2 shows ago, we looked at Ethereum to Bitcoin. We'll take another look at it shortly here. Let's do that. Also, what this might do is make an ETF much more likely. We talked about this in a prior video, but just to briefly gloss over it, there's a lot of talk about Ethereum being an underlying asset for a new ETF. And I did in the prior show, I think it was 2 shows ago, I talked about when I think that's going to happen just based on the charts. Most of these large amounts of news happen when an asset is at a critical point, when an asset might want to go down very strongly or up very strongly. And Ethereum's maybe it wants to go up pretty strongly, but I think what they might try to do is bring it to a point where it really wants to make a strong move and then perhaps announce an ETF so that the price can be pushed really hard in that direction. So I think that might not happen for a few months. And if you go back to 2 videos ago, I do talk about that. Okay, so let's move on to the charts. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum to Bitcoin is what they were just talking about in that article. So Ethereum to Bitcoin is basically when you're looking at Ethereum in terms of Bitcoin, and we're looking on the daily chart, and it really actually looks rather dismal from a high time frame. It's been pretty hard for a pretty long time, and this is on the monthly chart that I'm moving over to right now. So going back all the way to 2016, you can see that it was pretty strong in the prior bull run from late 2019 all the way up to December of 2021, and then it sloughed off, and it's been pretty much heading down consistently since September of 22. So the bear market has wreaked some havoc on Bitcoin in comparison to Ethereum. However, my algos in the higher time frame, shown right here, are indicative of Ethereum having at least some temporary strength against Bitcoin. Now, it could have, like I said, temporary strength, but I think once the bull market truly kicks in, we'll probably see Ethereum rise up. But what's interesting here is if you look at the 2017 bull, Ethereum rose up hard against Bitcoin, very, very strongly. And then this entirely was encapsulated by the last bull market in 2019. So Ethereum's rise against Bitcoin was maybe half of what happened in 2017. So are we going to continue to see this diminish over time, right? Are we going to continue to see Ethereum's rise against Bitcoin just continue to not be as strong as it once was? And this is my triangle. It's just a way of showing that everything is compressing, right? It's really not to say that it'll really follow these exact lines. I'm just showing you a general idea that it is compressing. But as things compress, things can actually pop out and do some pretty big things. But if this were to continue to compress, this is going all the way through this bull cycle. So, I mean, look, it could pop out. It doesn't have to go all the way to the end of the triangle. They rarely ever do. The Ethereum Bitcoin could simply just pop out to the upside and, go crazy. We don't really know what's going to happen, but I would be conscious of price maybe not wanting to move in this sense too far past this top line here. We might see a rejection. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with Ethereum and whether or not that upgrade happens and whether or not that ETF happens. Ethereum against the dollar or against Tether is another chart altogether, and it's looking real strong right now. I do see 2,900 or 3,000 as a really good kind of in the next couple of months point where price might go to. I'd be looking at that level, and you can see just some mock trades. I didn't take these trades, but just some mock trades that I drew out on what I might do if I were to trade this. And I think I had targets at about 2,950, just below 3,000. So something like that, and then maybe up at the top here at about 33.50. If I were to just take a long and go for it, that's what my trade might look like. I might have to redesign that stop loss. I might have to kind of review that. I might be a little more conservative on that, quite frankly, but because I think Bitcoin might be in for a little bit of a retracement, but I do think it might not be a very long retracement. So I do think that whether the stop loss is here or there, I do think some decent targets are good. Right here, 29.50 and 33.50 or so for Ethereum to go up against Bitcoin. And that's all we got for today. Again, if you like this content, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're on X, please follow and like this video as well. We hope to see you more often. We'll catch you on the next one. All right, hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. On the screen there, you can see our website, algofactory.tech. Tap that QR code to take you straight there. I'm also very active on X. That's algo_factory777. We got TikTok and Rumble. In the meantime, we hope to see you over at the website. Come on over, trade your job, upgrade your life. We'll see you there.